Hello everyone, Sigs here, and welcome back to Magic the Gathering Arena. So we're going to be doing some more ranked matches tonight. We started off this season at Silver rank, and we figured that with basically a full month we would have time to grind our way to Mythic. As it stands, I haven't really had a chance to play in almost a week, so falling a little bit behind our gold, but here's hoping we can change that tonight and work our way through gold tier into platinum. So I'll go ahead and show you the deck that I'll be running. Now, if you want a little bit more of an in-depth breakdown, you can check out the first video in this series where I go a little bit more in-depth to the deck. There will also be a deck list in the description if you want to check that out. But this is the deck, and the gist of it is you use the Dreadhorde Arcanist here. And when he attacks, you can cast an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard with mana value equal to or less than his power. So we run Symmetry Sage, as well as Balmor, to buff the Arcanist so that we can cast all of our spells. We have a lot of removal spells, a lot of kind of cheap 1-mana removal spells that we can easily recast with the Arcanist at his base 1 power. We also run Static Discharge, which the damage increases every time you cast it. So since you're able to cast it from your graveyard, it's basically like having 8 copies. We also have Wizard's Lightning. All of the creatures in this deck are wizards, so you can get 3 damage at instant speed to any target for 1 mana, as long as you have a creature on the field. And then beyond that, we just have Expressive Iteration, Mentor's Guidance, and Consider, which will allow us to, surveil, scry, look through our deck, and just kind of dig for whatever removal we need at that particular moment. We have Reckless Charge to put the Arcanist down, buff him, give him haste, attack immediately at 4 power, recast anything in our deck, as well as Flame of Anor, which with a wizard on the field, we get 2 modes, gives us some artifact removal, 5 damage for 3 mana to any creature, or again, being able to draw more cards. So that's kind of the gist of the deck. We also have Gigantha just because we can, so why not? And with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and jump into a match. So I feel some losses coming. We won our first and only 3 in the first video. Now we are in gold rank, so we're going to try to grind our way up to platinum here, and we'll see how it goes. So we're doing historic, ranked, best of 1 with the Izzet Wizards deck. Let's go. Let's see how it goes. Alright, first opponent is Bertocalypse. Has the Johnny avatar and I believe that's the Boros sleeve, so maybe running some kind of white, some kind of red, something like that. We are on the draw, and we like this hand, so we have a 1-drop with a mana to play it for turn 1, have some ways to fix our hand, and we have a second creature for turn 2 or beyond, so we can get some pretty good aggro out on the field right away, and then we can dig through our deck for whatever we need. So I'm going to keep. We'll play a Battlefield Forge and an Esper Sentinel. So, very annoying start. Seeing as I have a lot of non-creature spells, he's probably going to get a lot of extra draw triggers off of that. I would like to keep Otawara for the channel ability, but I'd rather not take the 2 life if I don't have to. So we're going to just throw down Otawara and Symmetry Sage for the turn, just to get some creatures on the field. And then next turn we can get a trigger for the Magecraft potentially, if we want to do Consider or Mentor's Guidance. Or we can get Balmor down if we want some more aggro on the field. So he's going to cast Kellen. Oh, he's doing a Hammertime deck, huh? Okay, so I need to be real careful not to let him get this hammer down and then immediately equip it. So I think the play is going to be drop the Mountain. And then I think I'm just going to play with fire, the Esper Sentinel, because he's going to get so much value out of that if he's able to keep drawing cards into what he needs. So I'm going to pay the 1 so he doesn't get any card, get rid of Esper Sentinel. We still get the trigger on Symmetry Sage, so we can attack in for 3, which on turn 2, that's decent damage. I basically am going to need to beat this guy down before he can get off some kind of combo and attack with this hammer. So we'll see what he does here, and I just need to be ready to do as much damage as possible next turn. So he's thinking. Okay, Cacophony Scamp. Yeah, so if he gets the hammer on this and then kills it, he can deal its power, which at that point would be 11, to any target. So right now he doesn't have the mana to equip this, but if he gets a card that lets him equip it for less, then I will start to be in trouble. So I'm going to play the Steam Vents, and I am going to pay the 2 life. So that way, I would like to get Balmor down to start getting those +1/+0 triggers, but I think I want to get the Arcanist out so that I can recast Play with Fire and keep removing his creatures, seeing as I don't have any other removals, and seeing how this hammer is useless if it can't actually equip it to anything. So I want the Arcanist down to be able to attack next turn, which means for this turn, I'm probably just going to consider for the Symmetry Sage Magecraft proc. Not opposed to getting the other Symmetry Sage down as well, just to get more creatures, more aggro on the board. But I think I'd rather be able to attack this turn. So I'm going to Magecraft onto the Symmetry Sage. There's a Play with Fire. We'll just take that. That's fine. Gives us more removal. Again, if I can just keep removing his creatures as he plays them, then I don't have to worry about that hammer doing anything. But this is going to be the turn where if he has some way to equip that hammer for free, I could be in trouble. Okay, so he just drops another hammer. Not sure what having 2 of them on the field is going to do for him, unless he can equip both somehow. Yep, there we go. Knew that was coming. I'm going to take 13. No blocks. Oh, he wins, so... yeah. And then he just sacrifices it, and he does the damage to me. Yep. So, okay. Alright, well, I knew we were in for a loss at some point here. Thankfully, we're at the bottom of the tier, so we don't lose any progress. We don't lose any of these pips. And, yeah, really the only thing I could have done there was to make sure to always have some kind of removal spell and enough mana to play it so that I could immediately destroy any creature. Of course, say I had Play with Fire and a mana open, he plays that, I cast Play with Fire on it, he can at instant speed attach the equipment to it, and then it would not die to Play with Fire, and then he'd be able to do that anyway. So literally just having this Resolute Strike, unless I have counter spell for it, don't really have any way to deal with that in this deck. So once he has that combo, I basically lose. I did get him down to 11, so I was halfway there. I could have swung in for quite a bit of damage next turn. Potentially could have, Play with Fire for 2, and then I get 3, 4, 5, 6 I could have done, which would not have been enough. Obviously, I could have drawn into potentially a Reckless Charge, which would have been +3/+0. I have no way to show you the card, I don't think. But, yeah, maybe could have done 11 damage next turn if I was able to live for one more turn, but as it stands, the only way to beat this would have been to have just done more damage more quickly, which I wasn't able to do. So, we do lose the first one, not off to a great start. I have beat that deck before, several times actually, with this deck. It just did not quite work out that way. He got that combo off very quickly. So let's jump into another match. Hopefully we can get a win. Again, losing on the first match, not the end of the world. We don't lose any rank for it. After we win a couple, we won't want to lose until we get a rank up, because then we'll lose our progress. So we are again on the draw. This hand is okay, it's playable. I mean, turn 1 Symmetry Sage, always good, and then turn 2 we can do some hand fixing, or we can get rid of one of his threats with Wizard's Lightning, assuming Symmetry Sage sticks on the board. We have adequate mana base to work with, so He leads with an Evolving Wilds. Not sure if it's like a multicolor deck or if it's a landfall deck, but he goes for a Plains. So currently we're just looking at mono white. He does have the Chandra avatar. Don't know if it's some kind of burn deck or if he just likes the way she looks, but we're gonna drop our island just to get Symmetry Sage out. We'll hold off on the lands with the other effects. Okay, so he seems to have... Oh. Okay, then. Alright. I guess he missed a land drop and then just decided his hand wasn't playable. I don't know what on earth he had going on, but we get a free win, so... not super, like, excited when that happens. I like to actually play the matches, but we definitely will take a win. I mean, why not? That'll get us to the rank we want to get to a lot quicker, so... Alright, I said I hoped we would get a win. I didn't think it would be quite like that. I was hoping it would be an actual match that we could, you know, compete in, but, alright, we'll take the win, get the 2 pips. Now, at this point, we don't want to lose, because we'll lose ranking, essentially. If we could just get 2 more wins in a row and get to the next tier, that would be ideal. So we go up against Frodo Lives, or Frodo Lives, more likely. And looks like a control player, right? Jace Avatar, Jace Sleeves. That's going to be my guess. I'm going first. This hand is keepable, so we'll keep it. We have the turn 1 Symmetry Sage. Every time we have that, we're happy. Then we have some hand fixing. We have a turn 2 creature if we want to go more aggro heavy. We'll see what he does. So I'm going to just get the Symmetry Sage out on the field. Turn 1, while he can't counter or do anything, he doesn't have any mana. We'll save the channel lands in case we don't need to play them. We can have the channel option available. I think I know what deck this is already. So it's that stupid, I don't even know what you call it, but it's just like, it's all kill creatures and wipe your board, and then the win conditions like cast Approach of the Second Sun twice, or like chip you down with like a little 1/1 after they completely wipe out everything that you have every single turn. So really annoying deck. This thing makes it hard to get any tempos. I can't put creatures down and then attack with them right away with any of my haste spells. So basically, here's going to be my only opportunity to beat this, is literally just going to be to burn him before he can really do anything. So assuming it is that deck, if I'm wrong in that assumption, then this could be a very poor play. I should have saved that Static Discharge for removal, but I don't think he has a lot of creatures. I think he just has a lot of removal, so I just wanted to get in the 6 damage there. Or however much that was, 6 damage. Okay, he drops double Soul Warden. Now it's looking more like a Lifegain deck than anything. He's tapped out. I don't have any extra removal spells left over. I will have to drop Otawara for a land drop for the turn, and then the question is... I guess I just want to get Balmor down at this point. I'm just going to have to try to hit him through his life gain, which is going to be hard to do, considering he has quite a lot of it with all these triggers stacking up, but we'll go ahead and consider we need to get this Magecraft proc anyway. That triggers Balmor. Don't want the land. Don't necessarily want to surveil a land into my graveyard either. Really want to surveil spells into my graveyard for... the Dreadhorde Arcanist to be able to cast from the graveyard again, but I'm probably going to Expressive Iteration to find a land, so I don't need to draw into that. Would much rather draw into Wizard's Lightning. And this is definitely looking like the Lifegain deck now, so I did kind of make a bit of a misplay there. I was scarred from going up against that control deck that runs the Authority of the Consuls, so if I had saved this Static Discharge, I could have just killed the 2 Soul Wardens. That would have gotten rid of most of his life gain, and I'd be in a lot better position. As it stands, I want to do removal on the Soul Wardens. The question is, do I Expressive Iteration and hope that I get a red mana so that I don't miss a land drop, or do I Mentor's Guidance, guaranteed be able to Wizard's Lightning after and still potentially get a land drop? I think that makes more sense for now. So we'll do whatever it's called, Mentor's Guidance. Magecraft proc onto Symmetry Sage. It copies because we have a wizard, so we get an additional Magecraft proc on Balmor. I will take the Wizard's Lightning. Now I have 2 removal spells if needed. I'm hoping for a red mana, so we're gonna not take the Symmetry Sage, even though that's not like a horrible choice. We get another removal spell. Unfortunately, we can only play 1 this turn, but that's fine. We'll go ahead and cast 1 of them on the Soul Warden quickly because our fuse is running down. Magecraft doesn't matter. Balmor proc, they both go to 5/5. We can attack for 10. Cool. Big damage. That's, I think, the only way I'm going to beat this Lifegain deck is to just do more damage than he is able to generate. Okay, so he buys himself a turn with the One Ring, which is not great. Goes against my strategy. But I should be able to just clear his board here. This time we will Expressive Iteration first. I don't think that one Soul Warden is going to save him just from its life gain. Flame of Anor is going to go to hand. I can't cast it now, so it'll just go to hand, and then doesn't matter which, but we'll put that one in the library, and we'll exile this one to be played this turn. So we don't miss a land drop. Unfortunately, it's not red, so I'm not able to remove the other Soul Warden. No point in attacking. He has protection from the One Ring, so no attacks end turn. I wish I could destroy this Heliod, but it does have Indestructible, and it is also not a creature currently, so we are just hoping to keep his devotion down. Okay, so he's going to exile Symmetry Sage. Thankfully, that leaves him tapped out, and I should be able to just burn him. I mean, this should be a win right here, like, unless I'm missing something. Thankfully, he didn't have a land, so, I mean, he's got nothing. I'm going to play the land for the turn, and then, as far as I can tell, Lifelink on the Soul Warden is not going to help him. No effect on there. Nothing, nothing. I mean, all I have to do is just Wizard's Lightning and then Static Discharge, and it should be game, and if nothing else, I can attack with Balmor after. So I also have options with Flame of Anor, but I don't think they're necessary. I think all I have to do is burn him to his face, and that should be game. It is. Okay, so good win. Excuse me. Good win there. Gets us the 2 more pips. If we can just get 1 more win, we'll get the rank up. If we start losing, we'll lose pips, and it will take longer. But yeah, this Authority of the Consoles, I do see it run often in this kind of a life gain deck or other variations of a life gain deck. Unfortunately, it's also run in several control decks, really annoying control decks. So I'm more afraid of the control decks than the life gain decks with the matchup that I get from running this deck. So I just wanted to try to burn him down as quickly as possible before he got to like 4 mana and was able to start using his like board wipe spells if it was the control deck. So that's why I used that Static Discharge at the start to his life instead of saving it to remove his creatures like I usually would. Thankfully, it ended up working out. The Soul Wardens didn't save him. He wasn't able to generate enough life to, you know, live through the damage that I was dealing to him. Didn't get enough devotion to get Heliod into a creature. The One Ring didn't have enough time to ramp up, didn't draw into enough removal. If he had drawn into another Banishing Light, I could have been in trouble potentially with no creatures on the board, so ended up working out for me there. That's usually a pretty solid matchup for me. I do generally do well against life gain decks, but we take that win, and then we see if we can get 1 more in a row here, which would give us the rank up. So it's finding a new opponent for us. Picking a real good matchup for us here, I'm sure. We got Gizmo with the, what is that, Johnny combo player avatar. So I'm on the draw. This doesn't tell me much. Oh, Gigantha tells me a lot, though, so this could be a mirror match, or he could just have a similar deck, or like another deck that's capable of running Gigantha. So on the play, I guess this is keepable. These coming into play tapped is going to really slow me down, especially being on the play, or on the draw, excuse me. I'm gonna keep, but it's a little scary here, yeah, especially if he's got 1-drops. We do draw into a land that comes into play not tapped, which will help us out turn 2, but it does not help us out this turn. So my deck works a lot better on the play, so you can get the Symmetry Sage out turn 1 and then use like removal going forward and already have some kind of threat on the board. Once you're on the draw, you're already like behind their threat, which as you can see here, he already has 2 creatures out before I can even get 1 out. So this land coming into play tapped and slowing me down a turn further is really not good. So I think the play is going to be Symmetry Sage out now. There's no point in putting Arcanist out because I don't even have anything in my graveyard to attack with. Don't want to get Toxic out. Hexproof. He could just pay the 2 life or the 1 white and give Hexproof to this, so trying to kill it with Play with Fire is going to be rough. Oh, it's tapped though, so he can't. So I can go ahead and get this Zabaz here. Just want to, unless he has something else. Destroy target artifact you control, Modular, so he's going to move the tokens onto Skrelv. That's fine. I can block it this turn as long as he doesn't have anything to buff it. Okay, Ingenious Smith, so he's looking for artifacts. I'm not sure what kind of deck this is yet. Another Modular card. So counters. And then modulating the counters onto other targets. Interesting. Alright, well we can play this now. It will not come into play tapped. I can get the Arcanist out just to be able to start recasting things. Next turn, I don't have any way to give him haste. Otherwise, I could just destroy something. I do have 2 Flames of Anor, so I can do 1. You know what? Is this an artifact? It is. And he's tapped out. He does have Skrelv, so he can pay 2 life to save one of the things, but he can't save both. So I think what I do is I do Flame of Anor. I usually like to do the draw 2 cards mode, but I'm going to do the 2 damage modes, and then we're going to try to destroy Skrelv, which if he was smart, he would save Skrelv. And then, whoops, I have to target a creature. Oh, shoot. Gosh darn it. I was supposed to select a creature first, and then an artifact second, but I accidentally clicked Skrelv first, and then I tried to go back. Okay, I don't know why he didn't pay the 2 life and save Skrelv, but I'm not complaining. What I wanted to do was do the 5 damage to the Smith, and then the artifact on Skrelv, and then he should have paid 2 life and tapped. And then maybe it doesn't work because it's a 2-color spell. I actually don't know how that works. I really should, but anyway. He gets rid of my Symmetry Sage with the Smell Fear. Now, I really need to get the Arcanist down because I need to start being able to recast spells from the graveyard, so missing a land sucks here. Because I really want to cast a burn spell. I'm starting to fall behind. My hand is great. I have way more cards than him, but if I don't get a chance to play them, that's an issue. So I am going to get the Arcanist out, and I'm just going to hope it sticks, because the whole strategy here hinges on that. And the question is do I Surveil to get more stuff in the graveyard for the Arcanist and also try to find a land for the turn? Or do I just get Symmetry Sage out, and then I could do a big attack next turn? I think that's what I'm going to do, because I'm thinking if he has removal, you know, hopefully he can't get both creatures anyway. Another Modular creature. Yeah, that one with First Strike. I'm not going to block, but I'm getting real low, so okay, this is going to work out. So look, I'm going to, I guess I could, so I'm going to be able to do the Flame of Anor for sure. Yeah, that's what we'll do. So we'll do, I'm just wondering if how many of these I can get. With Flame of Anor, I could potentially get all 3 of these, actually, because I can, again, do the artifact in the 5 damage mode, and then on the recast from the graveyard, I could do the draw 2 cards and the 5 damage mode. So I think we're going to do that over Static Discharge, because that would only get me 2 triggers. So we're going to Flame of Anor. We're going to destroy target artifact and deal 5 damage to target creature. Alright, artifact first. It's going to be It's going to have to be this one first, so that if he modulates... Ah, I messed up. I should have done the 5 damage. Oh, okay. So both of those go off before the modular triggers do, so then we're good. So that works out. This goes to 5. I can re-get it from the graveyard with Flame of Anor. That can resolve. Sorry, dude. I know I'm taking forever. So that works out. Now I'm going to consider to get another Magecraft proc on Symmetry Sage. So that goes there. Oh, okay. He surrenders. Honestly, it's probably like how long I'm taking that he's just like fed up with this. We do get the 3rd win in a row. We do get the rank up. I know from personal experience, when you're playing against somebody who's just like taking this long to decide, it's super annoying. So, you know, that's why I'm trying to talk really fast. I want to talk through everything that I'm doing so you know what I'm doing and what I'm thinking. But obviously that takes a lot longer than just making the decisions in my head and just going for it and seeing what happens, you know? So I do feel bad. I wonder if that's partially why he surrendered. But also the writing was kind of on the wall there. So I was going to get the trigger on the Symmetry Sage. I was going to attack in for 6, and then I could recast Flame of Anor. So I would have done 5 damage to this. He would have had no creatures on the field. And then I would have also been able to draw 2 more cards here. So my hand would have been, after this, and this would have been up to 4 cards in my hand. He would have had 1 card in his hand, plus 1, that he would have drawn next turn. I would have had 2 creatures on the field. He would have had 0, so I would have had a board state advantage and a hand advantage, and I guess he decided he just didn't think he could pull out of it, even though I was already down to 7 life, so... a little sketchy there. I have not actually gone up against this deck, so I was kind of unsure how the modular worked as far as how it hit the stack. I guess I should have known that both of these effects would happen before the modular hit the stack. Otherwise, I kind of messed up there because I should have killed the one that was here and the one that was here, because this one had 4. So if he had... Oh, it has to put it on an artifact creature. See, I don't even know what the hell modular is. I mean, I know roughly what it is, but this is not an artifact creature, so that was actually fine, because this was at 4. So I was like, okay, if he puts the 2 here on that one, puts it up to 6, then I don't get the kill with Flame of Anor, dealing 5 damage. But that wouldn't have mattered. So, okay, so all that makes sense. If you are listening to this and you are familiar with all of these mechanics, you probably think I'm an absolute idiot, but I'm just kind of working through them as we go here, because I have not actually gone up against a deck like that before. But it does result in a win. Whoops, I don't want this. Went to move my mouse and accidentally clicked on My Little Pony there. I was trying to click here and show that we got up to gold tier 3. So there is our first rank up. And let's jump right into another match here. And we'll see how this goes. We'll see how many matches we can get done tonight. I would love to just like get up to platinum tonight, but that would involve, what, 9 wins in a row? And I don't want this recording to be too long. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how close we get. But going up against Ada Ocat, however you say that. Maybe Lifegain deck, Heliod, Sleeve, Elish Norn, both white creatures, mono white, maybe some kind of mono white control Lifegain thing. I go first. This is a slow hand because I don't have a 1-drop, but it is playable being on the play. So I'm going to keep, just because, as I shift position in my chair here, just because if I mulligan, I could potentially get a worse hand and be down a card. So play the mountain. No point in burning the 2 life yet. We can get... Okay, Plains, Johnny's Welcome. It's looking like a life gain deck, so this will probably work out. I'll get the mountain down just to, again, save myself from paying the 2 life, and save the channel card in case I get an opportunity to use it later, because I want to get the Arcanist out this turn to start. And then depending on what we draw, we could potentially cast a 1-mana spell and then attack with Arcanist and recast it next turn, so that would be good value. It's definitely a life gain deck. Now I can fix a little bit my hand with the Expressive Iteration as needed, which I'm going to need to because This is too many lands. This is annoying. So the question is, I'm not going to be able to do both. Expressive Iteration is not going to be able to be recast by the Arcanist, so I'm going to get Balmor out now. I'm assuming with a Lifegain deck he probably doesn't have a ton of removal, so I'm hoping both of these creatures stick. Now, I have no reason not to attack, other than that I now don't have that up as a blocker, but, you know, if he wanted to block and lose one, that's fine. He could have disturbed it if he would have rather had the Phantom, but, okay. And there's Heliod. So these tokens are going to start to get out of control. Tokens, excuse me. The word I'm looking for is counters, because he's going to get a trigger every time I play a creature, and whenever he plays a creature, and if he disturbs the Phantom whenever he loses a creature, and then each time it's going to get a +1/+1 counter. Thankfully, I should have like a ton of removal here, so that's how we're going to start. He can't put counters... Oh, he can put counters on to Heliod, so that when his devotion gets high enough, he's going to have a really big creature that I can't destroy. But we're still going to do the same thing here. We're going to Expressive Iteration first to see if we can get a free land to play. If we Expressive Iteration into 2 lands, which we do, then we put the spell in our hand, and then we choose the land to play. So it'll be... That one goes back to library. This one goes to exile, which means I can play it now. And that leaves me with enough mana to cast Static Discharge onto one of these veterans, which is kind of overkill. I mean, I'm almost considering just doing the damage straight to his life, especially since he can just disturb those and bring them back. But I think clearing his board and not allowing him to get all those life gain triggers and then put counters on them is probably the play. So by doing it that way with the Expressive Iteration first, we get an extra trigger from Balmor, so we get +2 onto both of these guys, and then we can attack with both. Arcanist can now recast a spell from the graveyard, so we'll choose Static Discharge, and we'll just get rid of the other veteran on the field. That gives us another Balmor trigger. They both go to 4 threes, and we deal 8 damage there, bringing him down to 14, so doing a lot of damage. We just have to... Okay, we just have to wait for him to surrender, I guess. Holy crap. Alright, well. There we go. Another win there. Hopefully, again, we can keep winning to fill out this tier and not lose those little pips that we just got. But, alright, I mean, he must have known what he had certainly better than I did. I did not have a lot going on for me. Mentor's Guidance being able to go off twice because it would have gotten copied. Would have been 2 triggers, which would have gotten Arcanist to 3 power, which means I could have recast, you know, any spell with 3 mana. If I had drawn into one, I could have played a land, played a 3 mana spell, Mentor's Guidance, and then these would have been at 4, and I could have recast a 3 mana spell. So I had some good things going for me, but if he had just 1 or 2 removal spells, was able to get rid of my creatures, having 3 lands in hand was really less than ideal. So again, he must have known better than me what he had going on, or he just didn't feel like dealing with me, and he surrendered. But we end up with the win either way, so we'll take it. I definitely think he could have, you know, had a chance if he kept playing, but I guess he didn't feel that way, or he just got tired of me taking so long to take all of my turns. But one way or the other, we get the win, and we go ahead and hop straight into the next match here. Alrighty, we are going up against HR 8938 with the... actually don't remember that person's name, and no sleeves, so I get no information. I am going to mulligan here, so I'm on the play, and I have no creatures, so this is just too slow. I could fix my hand, but without having a creature on the field to get the extra trigger on this, it's just cycling card for card, which isn't good. I have a little bit of removal to buy some time, but it's just going to be too slow, and it's not going to work, so we're going to mulligan. This is almost worse, to be honest. I'm going to have to keep. I don't want to go down to 5. So the card that we're going to get rid of is going to be probably the Mentor's Guidance, to be honest with you. or the Reckless Charge. The Reckless Charge is going to be nice when I do get a creature. So I'm going to get rid of Mentor's Guidance. Because it's not good until I get a creature on the field. So there's these ones are both useful to get a creature more so. And then if I'm going to be behind by not having a creature on turn 1 or whatever, then... Oh, I was losing my mind. I was like, didn't I have an island in my hand? It was just blending in. I didn't see it for a second. If I'm going to be behind on getting a creature, then I want to be able to make up that time by giving it haste when it does come out. So we draw into Expressive Iteration, not great. He plays a tapped land, so that buys us some time. Going to drop the island first so that we can hold on to this land if we need to choose one or the other. Going to turn 1 Consider. Consider goes into the graveyard, which we can recast later if needed, and then we're just going to filter through and hope we get a creature, which we do not. But next turn we can drop red and then Expressive Iteration just to find a creature somewhere. Now we have a little bit of removal if he's playing creatures. It's looking like control colors, Azorius, so at this point I think I'm probably in trouble, to be honest, because... Against control decks, the best answer is like aggro, like beat them down before they really get a chance to set up, too much control and have too much mana to work with. So with what my opening hand was, I just don't have the aggro that this deck usually has, so this is probably not going to end up working out well. But we're going to see... What, does he have a counter spell? No. Okay, so Expressive Iteration, we did find some creatures. One's going to go into my hand, and I'm not going to be able to do anything with the other two, so the question is, do I want the Arcanist or the Symmetry Sage? And I think the answer is I want the Arcanist. I'm assuming whichever one I play is probably going to end up dying to removal anyway. I'm going to put the Sage back into my library, because I'd rather get that later than the land, potentially. Yeah, I'm assuming either creature is going to die to removal, but if it doesn't, then the Arcanist is better to stick around because I can recast things from my graveyard versus the Symmetry Sage, which is just hitting for 3 damage every turn. The Arcanist can do more if it's able to recast spells. So the question is, I mean, this guy has to have some kind of removal, right? Or a counter spell. Why else would he just be sitting on 2 lands? He did miss a land drop, by the way, too, which is nice. I think he did, right? But he's got... Because what I want to do is Steam Vent, pay 2 life, drop the Arcanist, and then Reckless Charge, which is why I had to pay the 2 life. But I'm just assuming he has some kind of kill spell, or else why would he have been playing nothing? Yeah, here it comes. Oh. Huh. Okay. Well, I get to draw 3 cards. Or I guess 2 cards. Wait, what? Counter it. Search graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name and then exile them. Shuffles, then draws a card for each card. Oh, exiled from their hand this way, I see. Alright, well, honestly, that's not the worst thing in the world. At least the creature stuck on the board. It would have been really nice to attack in for 4 and recast one of my search spells that turn, but honestly, Arcanist sticking is like the next best thing, so I would love to draw the 2 cards, but I'm going to wait because I would rather also be able to kill an artifact or a creature if needed. So I'm going to Expressive Iteration, and we're going to look for something. Aha. Something to buff the Dreadhorde Arcanist. So we'll take Sulphur Falls into hand. We're going to be able to get a land drop this turn. Mountain goes to library. Symmetry Sage comes to exile, so I can replay this, and then we can play our land, which gives us 2 mana to Static Discharge. Okay, did I already play a land this turn? I am very confused. We're going to have to attack and cast something for 1, so it'll be Consider, which will still give me the Magecraft trigger onto the Arcanist, so I can at least swing in for 3. Don't need that land at all. We already have 2 in hand. Get another Arcanist, which is cool. Again, if he has removal, at least I have more creatures to play. And I guess I already played a land this turn? I must be losing my mind. So, okay, Aura deck, interesting. Whenever an Aura enters the battlefield, If you cast it, you may search your library for an aura card with mana value less than or equal to the aura and with a different name, and then attach it and then shuffle. So he gets, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. It has Ward 1, is legendary, and then plus, okay. So he's just going to, I know roughly what this is, he's just going to try to stack auras onto this thing and then just make it so big that I can't deal with it. As it stands, I could basically kill this thing right now, so that's what we're going to do. Now, here's a land drop for sure, so I don't confuse myself again. And then all we have to do is Flame of Enorit and pay the extra 1 mana, right? So I'm going to draw 2 cards, and then I'm going to deal 5 damage to it. So I'm going to draw 2. I'm going to deal 5 damage to it. Yes, I'm sure. I'm going to pay the 1 for the ward. Oh, and he gives up. Okay, so... yeah, I'm pretty sure that was his entire deck strategy. I have gone up against this deck before, similar decks. You just stack auras onto this one creature, and then it gets huge, and you can't deal with it. It has so many different effects that it could do, and it's indestructible, and it's hexproof, and it's this, that, and the other thing. And I think by me just sniping it with a 5 damage spell before he was able to really build it up, he just didn't have a backup plan, so... that was going to work out quite well. He was tapped out. He had no way to save this thing. I was going to pay the 1 that would have Magecraft procced onto Dreadhorde Arcanist, who could have then attacked and recast, Consider or Expressive Iteration to get some better cards in hand, and then that would have Magecraft procced Symmetry Sage, so I would have swung in for 3 damage, or sorry, 6 damage, and also... had a lot of burn spells and other creatures in my hand for next turn, so we were in pretty good shape there. Him not playing cards and like just accumulating cards in his hand was scaring me a little bit, because, you know, I thought it was a control deck, and once you let them build up that many cards due to my abnormally slow start, I thought I was just going to be behind, where everything that I played he was going to have an answer for, but I think he just got kind of screwed with his land drops. Maybe he just didn't draw into his lands, so he wasn't able to play things. I'm not sure, but either way, it works out. That's another win, so let's hop into the next one here. Wish I had better quests so that I could actually be getting some additional gold as we go, but I'll probably wait to re-roll these since they're only 500 gold quests anyway. I already did 1 re-roll, and I did not get anything useful. I could do some matches with the white deck or the green deck just to get these done and maybe show off those decks a little bit, but for now we'll keep going. As long as we're winning, we'll just keep going with this deck. So I think if we get a win here, we get another rank up, so let's see if we can make that happen. Here is our opponent, Cuve, with the Karn avatar, so I wonder if he's playing some variation of Tron, or mono green ramp Tron or something. I guess we'll find out. Sleeves don't tell me anything. We are on the draw, which again is not great for this deck. It's better to be on the play, I find. But we do have a turn 1 drop, and we do have some hand fixing, and we do have some removal, so this is a keepable hand, so I will go with it, even though it's not the best hand that I could have. I love this island. I actually have this as a painting in real life from this guy's website. You can buy his paintings. It's one of my favorite looking islands. I know that's random and nobody cares, but it just made me happy to see that, that's all. So he plays land tapped, so going to be a little bit slower tempo on his side of the board. That works for me since I am on the play, or sorry, on the draw instead of on the play. So we get our island out, we get our Symmetry Sage out. Okay, looks like Faerie deck. Okay, so I don't want to get overwhelmed. He's going to keep generating fairies and then doing things with them, so I need to just try to clear out every fairy, basically, I think, is what I'm going to have to do here. So we'll do the Sulphur Falls, so we have the option to do one or the other. I'm going to want to get the Magecraft trigger and attack in for 3. The question is, I think I saved the Wizard's Lightning for removal. Otherwise, I would literally just say Static Discharge him in the face just to start doing more damage early. But I think what I'm going to do is consider for my Magecraft proc. We're looking for an Arcanist. Okay, that's not an Arcanist, but that is removal. and I assume he's going to have a relatively creature-heavy deck, like a tribal Faerie deck. So this is not a bad choice, but it's also good in my graveyard because I can recast it with the Arcanist. So we'll filter through. We do get a land, which is less useful, but at least it filters us through our deck a little bit, so we can maybe find the Arcanist that we really need to get some good value. So we're going to let him make that Faerie, and then we're going to see what he does, and we have instant speed removal to deal with something. And if he doesn't do anything, I can just consider again and then look for what I need. So he's going to leave his mana untapped, which kind of worries me that he has like a board wipe or removal or something. I kind of want to get rid of this Faerie too, because I don't want him to keep accumulating Fairies, but I'd rather, like, it's overkill to do 3 damage to something that only has 1 toughness, so I'm actually just going to consider. This might not be the right play. Fatal Push, there it is. Okay, at least I baited him into using the removal. I still get my consider. We'll get rid of the land. We don't need it. We have lands in hand. And then, hopefully we draw into a creature. We do not. Another land. Okay, but there's our Arcanist, so all of that filtering kind of pays off. Now, I'm going to save this until I need one or the other. And I want to save the channel from Otawara, so that means I'm just dropping an island, I believe. The other option is to play the Arcanist, and then I guess I'd want a red to be able to Wizard's Lightning if needed. So we are going to drop this as a red for that reason. And then I'm going to just kind of assume that he has removal, additional removal, which is going to be very annoying. But at this point, you know, I need to just start getting him to use his removal spells. So, okay, does he have Counterspell? Ah, interesting. Okay. So, Spell Stutter, counter it unless you pay 2+1 for each Faerie you control. So I wouldn't have been able to save it anyway, but like I said, I had a feeling that his deck was going to be all about Fairies, and that I should try to remove them whenever possible. So I have to discard a card. We're going to get rid of just the base island. Alright, so he's down to 1 card in hand, so I'm not that afraid of him right now. The thing is, I need to get rid of this Liliana, because he can just keep ramping it up, make me remove all the cards from my hand, sacrifice any creature I may be able to play eventually, and then if he ults it, I'll be in trouble, because I'll end up destroying half my lands, basically. So I need to play a land for the turn. This deals its damage to any target, so does this. So if I could cast both of them, that would be good. So I'm going to need... I have 2 red mana, but I'd rather have the channel effect from Otawara. Or Sokinzan. I think I want Sokinzan's channel to use as blockers for the Fairies. So we're going to drop Otawara, and then we're going to static discharge one of the Fairies. He's tapped out, so he can't do anything. That increases the intensity of static discharge to 4, which means I can deal 4 damage to Liliana now. Don't have to worry about her. And he just has a 1/1. Now he has 2 1/1s and 2 cards in hand, so he is in a little bit better position than me, but not by a lot. Drops another Bitterblossom. Now these Fairies are going to start to really get out of hand. So I'm going to drop this Shivan Reef. Now the question here, I could easily remove one of them with Wizard's Lightning. That kind of feels like overkill. I could potentially get 2 of them with Sokinzan channeling it as blockers. I could also bring Gigantha into hand so that next turn I could play a 5/5, which would be a big body to attack in with. He's going to be getting 2 1/1s every turn, which is a little scary. And they're flying, so the Gigantha is not going to help me. So he would do 2 next turn. All right, so I'm going to do the Gigantha to my hand, and that's going to be it. Because he's going to do 2 next turn. All I have to do is block a couple of them, actually, because he loses a life for each one as well. So the play is going to be Sokinzan channel. Gives me 2 blockers. Oh, they're not flying. Whoops. Well, I'm going to attack anyway and just try to make it a race, basically. I I may have misplayed this. I probably should have done the Gigantha. He could have just kept chump blocking, but Faerie Masterminds. So he's going to get card draw. Yeah. Okay. I think I messed up here a little bit. Yep, that's a lot of damage. Oh my gosh, these draws have not been the greatest either. Just drawing into a lot more lands than I wanted to. Yeah, because he loses 1 life and he gets the ability to do 1 damage, but that ability to do 1 damage is recurring every turn, so eventually he ends up doing more damage than I can deal to him. If I had played Gigantha, he could have just chump blocked, but that would have saved me a little bit of damage. Saved me from having taken a little bit of damage, and then I would have potentially... I mean, he would have just chump blocked every turn. And as long as he had more life, you know, he takes 1 and then he deals 1 plus the other 1. I can get Gigantha down now, but it's not going to matter. I'm going to take 6 over top, 6, 8 over top next turn. The only way to make this last another turn is to Wizards Lightning the Faerie Mastermind, basically. And that should leave me with 1 life. Gigantha's not going to save me. So that's what we'll do, just kind of a last-ditch effort here. No reason not to attack with these. I actually hope that he blocks. What is he doing? He's got some card in his hand. Potentially. Okay, he takes the 2. Interesting. So if I draw into a burn spell, I can actually win here, unless he has something. Oh yeah, the Tyrant, I forgot. And it has Menace. So he does 9 this turn. I forgot that he did that. Jesus. I'm not thinking my turns through well enough. Alright, well, almost there. With potentially some different draws. I feel like I got drew into a lot more lands than I wanted to. That could have gone a little differently. It was very close. He's running an interesting deck. I have not gone up against this deck. Obviously, the Bitterblossom strategy, pretty aggressive because you lose the life every turn, but you also have the potential to deal more each turn. I think I was right in thinking that I just needed to destroy each Faerie as it came out. I would have been in better shape. Would not have prevented the spell stutter from countering the last creature that I went to play, which was that Dreadhorde Arcanist. But once I had no creatures on the field, that got pretty rough for me. Yeah, I only drew into the 2 creatures, which is also not how this deck is supposed to work. So I have 12 creatures in the deck. Only drew into 2 of them, the Symmetry Sage and the Arcanist. I had no way to protect them. He could have had more removal anyway with a deck like this. You would think you'd have a lot of removal. That card came in clutch for him, because again, if I had just drawn into a burn spell, could have been over for him. I don't think playing Gigantha would have saved me. I thought these were flying for some reason, so I thought that was going to be what saved me, if I could take out 2 of those Faeries. And prevent myself from taking 2 every turn from that point forward. But yeah, don't think there's really anything else that I could have done. Maybe you saw a play that I missed, which is quite possible. My brain gets pretty frazzled trying to talk so fast and play at the same time. So if I make silly mistakes, I know that's hard to watch, but I think I did everything I could, more or less, and just lost. But it was a close match. We do lose a pip. But if we get a few more wins, we can, well, 2 more wins in a row, we can rank up anyway. So get our quest complete. That's cool. Again, would be nice to be making progress towards these other ones, but we are not. So let's go ahead and just jump into another match. See if we can get our 2 wins to get up another rank here. Would be nice. Just taking a little breather during the loading screen, because if you can't tell, I am basically talking nonstop. Otherwise, it gets to be tiring. So you got to give me just a second to catch my breath here and there. All right, they're going first. Crochet, whatever that says, crocheting cat. Interesting Frodo and Sam sleeve with this like creepy thing. That doesn't really tell me much. I am on the play. God, this hand is not really keepable. I don't have a... You could make a 1-mana hand work if you have like a 1-drop and then like a Consider or something to like fix your hand, but this is just... If I draw into a land, this is very playable. I do the Dreadhorde Arcanist first, and then I go into like Mentor's Guidance and stuff after. to get more lands, but if I don't draw into a land, I basically lose the whole tempo battle and it's over, so I'm just going to mulligan here. I could gamble and hope that I draw into a land, in which case this hand is fine, but okay. See, that's the problem with mulliganing, is like sometimes you just get a worse hand and then you're down a card. So it is what it is. I'm going to have to play with it. So we are going to keep this hand. We're going to get rid of a mountain because I'm not going to mulligan to 5. So it just stinks that I don't have an island to play either of these spells, but I do have basically 2 turns to draw into one, and I do have turn 1 removal, which is going to be great. So this might be the mono green elf deck, which is one of the decks that I run. If you go to the first video in this like March to Mythic playthrough, whatever you call this, you'll see me give a little preview of the elf deck if you're curious what the deck list for that looks like. But I am familiar with this deck, so getting rid of elves and preventing him from comboing into more elves is the best thing I can do here. So play with fire on that Jespera Sentinel, going to be good. That is not his ideal turn 1 drop either. It would be much better if he had a Elvish Mystic or Llanowar Elves. Okay, he drops a War Master, which I'm just going to probably get rid of with the Static Discharge, because then when he plays an elf, he's going to get more tokens, and then he'll have more elves on the field, which is going to give him more other stuff. The only thing would be, if I do that, I'm out of removal spells, and what I really want to get is something that generates mana. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to Riverglide Pathway as blue. I'm going to get Balmor out. Now, this elf deck doesn't typically have any removal, so Balmor should be safe. That's why I wanted to just get him on the field, because it's going to be recurring damage basically every turn going forward now. And I have the option to remove multiple things with this Static Discharge, so okay. That's a better target than the War Master is. The War Master giving him the little elf tokens is not great. Especially because it has this effect for 7 mana, where they all get +2/+2 and Death Touch. That could be his like finisher, but this is providing 1, 2, 3 additional power currently. So I think that's better to get rid of, because every other elf that comes out is going to be at, you know, +1. This is going to continue to provide more and more value. He's down to 2 cards in hand as well. So I don't know how many more triggers he's really going to get off of this. So I want to get rid of that Clan Caller, I think, is the play. The other thing to do would be Expressive Iteration and hope for a 1-mana burn spell, but that's risky, because if I don't hit it, then I'm not going to be able to do any removal this turn. So we'll do that next turn. We're just going to Static Discharge the Clan Caller. Could do 2 damage over top. I think I want to leave him as a blocker. Basically, this is going to come down to, like, can I clear out his board state? At which point, it doesn't matter how much longer it takes, because his whole deck works off of speed and combos. Otherwise, the concern is, like, should I start whittling him down now? But I don't think it matters how long it takes me to kill him, as long as I can control his board state, so I'd rather leave this open as a blocker. The thing is, if he drops another buff elf, then I may not be able to block without losing Balmor, which I won't do, which means that I should have attacked. Okay, another War Master. So now he's getting double tokens, which is kind of fine. They're just 1/1s. Again, the issue is if he drops an elf that lets him gain mana or whatever based on the number of elves that he has, or if he does this War Master thing where they all get +2/+2, so I'm going to have to deal with them before then. Now we have to do Expressive Iteration because we're running out of options. So we're going to look for a burn spell, which we don't get. This is kind of tricky, so I'd love to just cast, you know, I get that Expressive Iteration to exile, I play the island for the turn, and then I Expressive Iteration to keep filtering through for cards, but I don't like leaving him with this board state. I'd rather Static Discharge something this turn. But that leaves me with, like, nothing in my hand for the following turns. I really need that Expressive Iteration to find more burn spells. But I'm just going to have to... I'll put the Expressive Iteration back in the library. Exile the Symmetry Sage. Play play the island for the turn, and then I'm going to have to static discharge, because he can do 6 mana for next turn, and this only takes 7 mana, so if he hits a land drop, he's going to be able to hit the Elvish War Master's trigger and attack in for a lot. So I need to static discharge one of the War Masters this turn. It doesn't actually matter if I get one of them if he has 2, you know what I mean? Like, I need to get both of them. Either way, he has a trigger, but it's one less thing that he can attack with, and it'll get him less tokens. Then I'll leave Balmor as a blocker just so he doesn't feel safe swinging in with like all his 1/1s. That seemed to hold him at bay thus far. If he drops a land, he can get the Elvish War Master trigger with the castle and the Jasperis Sentinel. I don't want to mouse over it because I don't want to give him any ideas. If he doesn't have a land... Oh, that one only takes 6 instead of 7. So he's going to make all of these 5/5 dinosaurs and attack and then win. Yeah. Yep. Damn. So that's a pretty big mental mistake on my part. I should have killed the Allosaurus Shepherd instead of the War Master. Would have potentially bought me another turn to find some more burn spells and then just clear his board state. Kind of making me wish that I had defeated the War Master with static discharge instead of the Clan Caller at the start too. I knew I was kind of 50-50 on that play because, you know, he ended up getting 3 tokens out of it. Whereas if it was just the Clan Caller, it would have been less 5/5s, and I would have been able to live here. But as it stands, I can block 1, but it's not going to matter. So I do lose that one. Oh, okay, I'm really bad at math. And I did not lose yet. It doesn't matter, though, because I don't have enough burn spells to get rid of any of his threats. I'm down to 2 life. My only play, really, is this, which is not going to save me at all, so... But we'll do it. We'll give haste there. We'll give Magecraft there. Can attack in with 7. There we go. That's cool. And then he's basically going to win this turn. He could go wide no matter what. I don't have enough blockers for all the 1/1s. Drops another castle for mana. And once again, turns everything into 5/5 dinosaurs and attacks. Not going to block. So he wins. I feel like this is one that should have been very easy for me to win, actually. I go up against this elf deck pretty frequently, and I beat it almost every time. That is my favorite deck, like in Paper Magic in real life and just in general, is just mono green elf tribal. It's just, I just jive with the flavor of the deck, and it usually plays really well. So I do have that deck in MTGA, but I specifically stopped using that deck for this deck because I just kept losing to this deck with the elf deck. So I should have been able to win this one. I think I might have made a misplay by leaving the War Master up instead of the Clan Caller, but I definitely made a mistake by not destroying the Allosaurus Shepherd and destroying the War Master, because this takes 7 mana, which if he had dropped a land, it wouldn't have mattered. He would have been able to do that anyway. But the Allosaurus Shepherd is a bigger power increase anyway, and it only takes 6, so he was guaranteed to be able to do that. So I should have destroyed the Allosaurus Shepherd, and then worst case scenario, he only gives them +2/+2 instead of what is essentially +4/+4, because it turns them into 5/5s. And that would have bought me a lot more time. And then I basically just needed a couple of burn spells, and if I just got rid of the War Master and the Shepherd, you know, all these 1/1 tokens in this thing, you know, are not going to do anything. The only concern at that point would have been like if he drew into a Craterhoof Behemoth because it's late in the game, and he might have been able to play it and get a big swing in, but by that point I should have been able to whittle him down with the creatures that I had. So a little bit of just a misplay on my part there. It's pretty frustrating. Not that it matters, but it is quite late, and I'm obviously starting to make mistakes because we've been at it for an hour, and I'm getting frazzled from trying to constantly narrate this whole thing so hectically. But not going to make excuses, obviously. Just going to keep pressing forward here. We'll see if we can get 2 wins. That'll be exactly enough pips to rank us up to the next rank. So let's keep going here. See if we can get 2 more wins. Hopefully some good matches that can really showcase how well this deck works. and just get to a new tier. We're up against Zachary. A lot of Ys. What is that? The Elspeth from New Capenna and the Damnation sleeve. So maybe Orzhov. I haven't seen an Orzhov deck in forever. White-black, Lifegain, something like that, potentially. I go first. This is a very playable hand, so we're going to keep. We have a turn 1 drop. We're on the play, so getting our creature out first is good. He may have like a turn 1 fatal push or something, but at least we get the removal out of his hand if that's the case, because then next turn we can fix our hand with Consider and look for a new creature. So we'll play the island and we'll play the Symmetry Sage. We'll save the Shivan Reef for until we need it, so we don't have to take the 1 if we don't have to. And if he doesn't have removal, I have removal of my own, plus really big aggro spell, plus hand fixing. So I have like all 3 things that my deck does well in hand with a creature on the field. Okay, this could be a mirror match, or this could be one of the other Izzet decks that I've seen, but that's interesting. Thankfully it comes into play tapped, so he's already off tempo. So I think what I want to do is play the mountain, and then I want to save the removal in case he plays creatures, and I don't want to burn the Reckless Charge. I'd rather save that for if I draw into an Arcanist. I could play the Arcanist, immediately Reckless Charge, and then immediately attack to recast something from my graveyard. So we're just going to Consider. We're looking for the Arcanist, to be honest. I don't need a land. I already have 2 in hand. Now we get a Symmetry Sage, which is fine. Not the best, but it is a little bit more aggro. We're going to leave the mana open in case we need a Wizard's Lightning next turn, during his turn, if he plays a creature. But we are going to attack with 3 on the Magecraft proc from playing that Consider. So early game life lead, a little bit better tempo than he has. I'm sure he has access to burn spells, though, and if he starts removing too many of my creatures, I'm going to stall out here. So let's see what he does. Okay, this is probably a mirror match. So that's going to resolve, and then I'm going to immediately get rid of it. Don't want his creatures to stick on the field at all. Don't want to give him a chance to even attack or combo anything off with them. So the Stormcarved Coast comes out. The Symmetry Sage comes out. And then this time what I'm going to do, I'm going to Reckless Charge the one that just came in. And then I'm going to Magecraft the existing one so I can attack in. Oh, I can Magecraft both of them, duh. So I'm going to attack with 9. That's very, very aggressive. Does not leave me with a lot of other options. But just because I know how his deck works, because it's my deck, I know that him being, like, slowed down by as much as yeah, there we go. Him being slowed down by as much as he's already been slowed down, it's really hard to come back from. So I just wanted to keep the pressure on him. Worst case scenario for me there would have been that he had 2 1 mana 3 damage burn spells, and then he killed both of my Symmetry Sages, which would have potentially shifted the match in his favor, because then he could have gotten a creature out, and then I, would have had to have waited a turn, but then he could have started attacking in and getting recursion from his graveyard for his other instant spells, which would have really left me with nothing to do because I had already burned through all the spells that I had. But because I was so aggressive so early and he wasn't able to do that, he didn't have enough removal, then I just kill him before he can even get anything going, if that makes sense. I'm probably not explaining it in the best way, but yeah, that's the only way that I was going to beat him there. Again, you can see how much better it is for this deck to be on the play and to have like a good enough opening hand with a turn 1 drop, some removal, and some aggro. It just keeps all your options open, generally takes care of most threats, allows you to fix your hand for what you need, and then you just beat them down before they can even do anything about it. And there you go. So I think if he went first, he probably would have ended up winning that. So no fault of his there. I'm going to just chalk that up to me kind of getting lucky with what I drew into and everything else. So but all that being said, let's do one more here and hope we win it, because if we win it, we'll get another rank up, and that would be awesome. If we lose, we're going to have to make some tough decisions about if we keep going tonight or not, because it's already been a little over an hour. Alright, Digital Lightweight. Alright, so I am on the draw with a pretty good hand. Not the best, but I'm going to keep it. Definitely don't want to go down to 6. So the thinking is, I for sure have a turn 1 drop, even though I have to eat the 2 life. But then I also have removal spells, hand fixing spells, and aggro spells. So I have a good mix of everything I need. The only thing I'm missing is another creature, but I can find that with these 2 spells here. So that's why I keep that hand. He plays Selesnya land, and then a second Plains. He's looking like the token treasure token Lifegain creature 1/1 combo deck. So, ooh. So I'd really like to get the Arcanist down, just to like wait the turn so I could start attacking with him next turn to recur things from my graveyard. But as it stands, I don't even have anything in my graveyard. I do have Reckless Charge. If I draw into a red mana, I can drop the Arcanist, Reckless Charge him, attack that turn, and then immediately recast something. So that would be ideal. As it stands, I do want to get rid of this Innkeeper because he can get a lot of life gain triggers off of it. So I'm going to do that for the 1 mana. I need to get the Magecraft trigger on the Symmetry Sage to keep like my pace with my aggro so I can attack this turn. So I'll do that. And then what I'm going to do, I use the Play with Fire because it's only 2 damage. It would have been kind of overkill to do the Wizard's Lightning, although there is something to be said for doing the Wizard's Lightning while I have a wizard on the field. But that's why I'm going to leave the mana open, so I have the option to either draw a card or destroy a creature. Okay, he uses Coco, Collected Company, which I'll allow to resolve, and then depending on what hits the field... Okay, I think this is that infinite token deck. However, I don't remember how the combo works exactly, but whenever you create a token, you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, and then there's another card when you put a counter on it, you create a token, and then it's just an infinite loop. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So what we're going to do immediately is just get rid of Rosie so that he doesn't have a chance to make that loop happen. Sorry, let me adjust the mic here. There we go. Okay, and we did not draw into a land, so we're kind of back in the same position. Now the question is, do we remove the Soul Warden so he doesn't have life gain triggers to combo with all his other stuff? Or do we just get the Arcanist out now so that next turn we can start recasting spells from our graveyard? Honestly, the game is going to come down to what I decide to do here. Because if I don't remove the Soul Warden and he has stuff that combos with it, I could fall behind. But if I do, I'm just not keeping up enough tempo, and I'm out of removal spells, and then I won't have the Arcanist to maintain my removal by attacking with it. I really wish I just drew into a mountain. It would make this a really easy decision. I'm going to play the Arcanist, so that means I miss an attack this turn because I don't get the Magecraft proc. If he has removal or any type of combo with the Soul Warden, I'm screwed, and I made a really bad decision. If not, I'm going to have a really big next turn. Okay, so yeah, that's not good. That's removal. That is until it leaves the battlefield? Oh. Damn. So I'll get a 2/2 blue illusion creature, which doesn't help me much. So the thing is, he's down to 3 cards in hand, so I'm like thinking he's kind of limited on like what he could really do. And I have lots of options to fix my hand and kind of reestablish a good board state here. I already played the land for the turn. I should have expressive iterated first. I think what I do... My brain is ceasing to function. I've been playing for too long, too late at night, and I'm having a hard time deciding what to do here. It would have been an easy decision to expressive iterate if I didn't already play the land this turn, but as it stands, I think I just need to remove the Apparition. I'd rather get rid of his life gain trigger, though. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get my creature back. That gives me the Magecraft trigger that'll allow me to keep attacking and keep lowering his health, his life. He's going to get another life gain trigger. That's fine. I'm going to... I really should save this Reckless Charge. I'm going to attack for 3. He can't block. This is a sorcery, so it's either do this and get 1 card in my hand, or do it next turn and potentially get 2 that I could play. Yeah, I even considered Reckless Charging this, just to get a big swing in. Oh, God, of course, another Apparition. That can resolve for now. He's going to target the Symmetry Sage. He's going to get his Lifegain trigger. I'm going to consider now. Put it on this, not that it matters. That does not help me. It'll help me to get what I need to help me, if that makes sense, but without the Symmetry Sage on the field to benefit from the Magecraft trigger, it just doesn't really help me enough. Flame of Anor is nice if I had a wizard on the field, because I could draw 2 and get rid of a creature. Again, I'm still not really scared of this guy. I think I got rid of most of his stuff, but if he draws into something big, I just don't have any answers at the moment, and he's just going to keep whittling me down here while getting away from me in life with the Soul Warden, just slowly and annoyingly. I don't have anything to swing the tide, so I'm just going to have to take a turn to kind of fish. Again, I don't know why I just like instinctively dropped the land from my hand without even thinking about it, because if this goes into 2 lands, which thankfully it didn't, then I would have not been able to have played one of the cards. But we're going to take the Wizard's Lightning in hand. We're going to exile the mountain, or put the mountain back in the library. We're going to exile the Symmetry Sage. Now we can play the Symmetry Sage. If this somehow sticks, then it's going to be good again for our tempo, for our aggro, to be able to do more damage than he's able to gain. Now, I'm assuming he has more removal somewhere, so I'm going to take advantage of this turn, pay the 1 life to take the red. That gives me a Magecraft proc, plus the +3 from Reckless Charge. I can hit in with 6 that he cannot block. And then I'm going to swing in with the 2, because this is just a useless blocker anyway. Highly doubt he blocks it. If he does, I would have gotten another 1/1 illusion, or he would have lost his only Lifegain trigger at the moment. Yep. See, I had a feeling that he had more removal. So, and then another Rosy Cotton. Interesting. So he doesn't have the infinite loop going on right now. Okay, draw into a Mentor's Guidance. That doesn't help me here, because I don't have a wizard to benefit from the 2. Alright, he's got no cards in his hand, which is like great. Unfortunately, he has a lot of creatures on the field, so he can just keep attacking, and I only have so many turns to like clear his board and establish a good enough board state to finish him off. If he draws into certain things, it's going to make this impossible if he starts like comboing with certain things. So the best way to fix my hand, I could draw 2 cards here. If I had a wizard on the field, I could also just, so I'm just wondering, do I hold on to this or do I hold on to this to try to find a wizard, basically? This is only 2 mana. I could potentially play what I draw into this turn, so I guess that's what I'm going to do. We also get the Scry first, which helps. Okay, I'll take the Symmetry Sage. I will play the Symmetry Sage. He has no cards in hand. If he does not draw into removal, then I have a lot that I can actually do next turn with these extra wizards. For now, I'm going to get rid of the 3/3 Skyclave Apparition before it gets any bigger. That gets me a 1/1 illusion just as a blocker or extra attacker, and I'm going to attack with this one. I don't know why he would block, because he needs his Lifegain trigger. He doesn't want to give me another 1/1 token, and he wants this Rosy to keep ramping his creatures. So thankfully that gets his life down again, counters the effects of the Soul Warden. Okay, he gets another Soul Warden. Okay, he chooses to gain life, yeah. So thankfully I think now I can out aggro his life gain, which is the point that I needed to get to. So I can Flame of Anor. I'm going to do that first. Now that I have a wizard on the field, I can choose 2 modes. That's why I didn't want to play it earlier. So I can draw 2 cards and deal 5 damage. So I'm going to draw the 2 cards, and I'm going to deal the 5 damage to... probably to Rosie, just because I don't want him... I don't know what else he has in his deck that's going to allow him to create tokens, but if he starts putting +1/+1 on all of these things, then it's going to get really out of control really fast. Of course, if I do this one, I do get another attacker as well, so let's do this one. There's also something to be said for getting the Soul Wardens, because they're generating him, you know, life, which is what's keeping him in this game right now, but see, like that, he gets 2 more triggers. Now, I have 3 lands in hand, which really stinks. So, I'm just going to play one of them, and then I'm going to attack with all 3 here. Now, if he blocks, I will more than happily take out any one of those things in exchange for these illusions. And if not, it gets him basically back down to where he was before the turn. So now it really depends on what he drew into. Damn it. So that's the infinite combo. So I should have killed Rosie Cotton, right? Oh, it's not. Whenever... Okay, so if he creates a token, he puts a counter on the oak. When he puts the counter on the oak, he creates a token, which lets him put the counter on the oak, which lets him create the token, which lets him put the counter on the oak. That's the infinite combo. So I don't know why he didn't hold that in his hand until he had all the pieces to make the combo happen immediately, because as it stands, I just kill it. Magecraft the Symmetry Sage. And then Reckless Charge the Symmetry Sage to go over top with the flashback cost, which will allow me to Magecraft the 1/1 into 3, and then I can attack with all. Now this is too much heat for him to deal with. He cannot gain life more than I can deal damage in my turns, which is the position we needed to be in. Now he does not block, and he still has Rosie, so he can still make his infinite combo happen somehow, potentially, depending on what he drew. But it is unlikely. So we'll see. I think what he should have done... Oh, he drew a land, so we win. Okay, that can enter tapped. Consider for the Symmetry Sage to make sure I have enough damage. Otawara goes to graveyard. We draw into a Sokenzan, which we will channel for 2 tokens, which gives him 4 life, which was maybe not the right call, actually, now that I think about it. That was really dumb. But thankfully, he does not block. Okay. Alright, that was almost incredibly dumb. We get our rank up here, thankfully. We're up to gold rank 2, tier 2. Yeah, that was almost incredibly dumb. I just got excited and was like, yeah, we're going to win. Let's just not think about anything and play all of our cards because we can. And for the 2 extra damage I was going to get out of that, I gave him 4 life. So if he had blocked, he could have actually made it another turn. And then I don't know what he could have drawn into that was going to change the tide and end up giving him the win with just 1 single card. But I don't know what's in his deck. So he could have blocked and you know, lasted another turn. But yeah, that is this deck. So again, if I was him, I would have waited on that Scurry Oak to see what I drew into the next turn, and then potentially been able to combo off immediately. But he could have had the infinite combo. You see that, right? Whenever you create a token, you put a +1/+1 counter on a target you control other than Rosie. Whenever 1 or more counters are put on Scurry Oak, you create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. So you create the token, you put the counter on him, which creates the token, which puts the counter on him, which creates the token, which puts the counter on him, and you get infinite squirrels that way. And then he gets life gain triggers from each one, so he would have gotten like infinite life. So basically this just came down to he was trying to stall me out until he could assemble his infinite combo, and it looks like he just didn't get lucky with his draws to be able to actually make it happen. I've seen this happen on like turn 3 where it's just infinite squirrels and you lose. Turn 3, turn 4, or whatever. Certainly with Coco, he could potentially get both of them out immediately. But that went pretty well. You know, that removal really screwed me. This Skyclave Apparition because that just slows down my deck's whole strategy. But thankfully, because he didn't have a lot of creatures of his own, and I had enough removal to actually get rid of the apparitions and get some illusions out of it, I was actually able to use them to attack because he didn't really have a lot to block with, or that he wanted to block with. So that worked out. That was like really close. That was like teetering between, you know, me having absolutely nothing and just getting to that point where I could safely deal more damage than he could gain every turn until I was able to beat him. So like he almost exhausted everything that I had. It was like right there. But thankfully, you know, this deck is pretty good. Being able to like draw into extra cards and stuff helps a lot. Really the best play, I think, was when I got that Symmetry Sage and then I was able to Flame of Anor for the 2 cards plus the removal. That's just great value. And then that kind of, you know, getting 2 additional cards to play beyond the removal spell and having a Symmetry Sage on the field, I think is what pushed it over the top there. So, all right, so I think that's going to be all the matches for tonight. I don't want these recordings to get too long. This one's about an hour and a half, which is probably a good length. No one's probably watching or listening to this at this point, but there will be timestamps down in the description for all of the various matches. So, you know, you can go and just see whatever part you want to see if you wanted to rewatch any specific matchup. Hopefully I did an okay job at explaining what was going on with this deck. Not that it's particularly relevant, but it is late. I had a long day. I worked out at the gym and had a big dinner, and then I sat down to record this. So if I sound like frenetic and out of breath, that's probably why. Just a combination of the physical and mental exhaustion of the day, coupled with the big old belly of food now, you know, made me a little hyper here. But hopefully there was some good information. You get to see how this deck works. We had some good matches, a few cheesy, quick surrenders, a few that we lost that, you know, we probably shouldn't have. We just didn't draw into the right stuff. And then, you know, a few that could have gone either way based on what we drew or what the opponent drew. Some that we ended up winning that we probably shouldn't. And ended with a match that I think was really close. The tide of who was going to win and who was going to lose was shifting back and forth pretty consistently there. So some good matches. Again, we're still down in gold rank, so nothing too crazy yet. But hopefully if I get some more time this week, we can push it up to platinum and then keep going up from there. But that's going to be all for now. So if you have been watching, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I've been Siggs, but for now I'm out of here. So have a good one. Hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.